and welcome to Tracy Momi Reads. I am back again with another book review. Today, I'm going to be talking about Recursion by Blake Crouch. Recursion. Now, a couple of years ago, I read one of Blake Crouch's books for the first time, and it was my favorite read of the year, and that book was Dark Matter. And based on that, I was like, okay, he's a great writer. Let me get into some more of his work. So I picked up Recursion. And in a similar vein, and I don't know because I haven't looked at any other books by him, but this one also deals with time travel and trying to go back and redo life and different things, some of the same themes that were in Dark Matter. Now, I will say, even though I have flagged it to the gods here, I don't know that I like this one as much as I liked Dark Matter. That was a hard act to follow, Dark Matter. But I do feel like Recursion had some great plot points and some great moments in the book itself. Let's see. It's like 329 pages. So this is definitely in the sci-fi genre. Again, if you read Dark Matter, it's in a similar vein. Okay, so basically, when the book opens, there's this scientist, a woman named Helena Smith. She has been trying to create this memory thing, like to be able to help people. It's a contraption, if you will. It's not like a pill or anything, but it's something that would help people with Alzheimer's because her mother has Alzheimer's and she is trying to help her. So it would help them, with their memories and help keep them lucid, and things like that. And she had basically, this was her life's work, and she didn't really have any funding to get it built or to get it done until this rich, billionaire guy came along and said, I'll give you funding, because he had a similar idea of using her technology and what she was trying to do and put it like in this chair where people would get in this chair and have this thing attached to them and they could access different memories, right? So it was the same, but a little different, type thing. But she eventually decided to do it. And it was crazy because basically they were out like on an oil platform. And if you don't know what that is, like out in the middle of the ocean, mostly in the Gulf of Mexico here in the United States, there's these platforms, right? Where there's this these machines that drill for oil at the ocean floor. So this was kind of similar to that. This guy, this billionaire, had them way out on a platform like that. And this is where they were going to be developing this chair, this memory chair is what they called it. And everybody that was involved had to come out there and stay for an indefinite amount of time until they got this chair done, because they didn't want anybody like stealing the technology or leaking it to anybody. So everything was very tightly controlled, and like he was the only one that could get you off the platform, if you wanted to go home, and they had to search you and all this stuff. It was very, very confidential what was going on, right? Okay, so then at the same time, there's this police officer by the name of Barry Sutton. Right? He gets this call where this woman is like about to, commit suicide by jumping off this building. And she's saying that she's having, and this apparently has been an occurrence for like the last year. They're seeing more and more of this. Now follow me with this. This woman is saying that she went home to her husband. He is married to someone totally different. He doesn't know who she is, like she never existed. And she knows that she was married to him. She knows that was her house. And they have this thing where they say this isn't the first time. Like other people have been kind of like having what they have been calling false memories. Okay? So it can't be a coincidence that these people are out here creating a memory chair. And then we're going here and people are talking about people don't remember them, right? Because the thing that Helena is working on, they started working on that in 2009. And here we are in 2018. People are saying that, I know this was my life, or I know this is where I belong, and people aren't remembering them. So there's this thing is happening. And that's kind of what, pulled me in, because I'm like, well, why would she think that's her husband, or why wouldn't he remember her? And why are other people also like having memories of things that in reality is not even true? Like, how could everybody be making up the same stories? And like I said, it's such a phenomenon. It's such a big thing that has happened that they've given a name to it, which to me is like, don't just name it, get to the bottom of it. Like, why are all these people experiencing the same weird thing that's happening to them? So it doesn't take long, because we go back, the chapters are like back and forth between what's going on with Helena and, back in the past, and Barry, in the future. And slowly the divide starts to close, and you learn how one thing affects the other, to the point at which Helena and Barry actually meet. Okay. And then there's also this thing that these people with these false memories, they get nosebleeds. And when you get more information on how that chair is working, you start to realize that some kind of way these people are being affected by that. And that was the thing that was confusing me for a while, and keeping me like flagging pages and not wanting to put the book down, because had all these people actually been in that chair, or were the people that were getting in the chair messing up the timelines? Were they the ones causing the ripples in the space-time continuum? It is just so crazy how every time I either read a book, see a movie, or whatever about how that works, everybody comes up with a different take on it. And I'm just wondering, does any of that, is any of that even really possible? Because I think back, and getting off on a tangent here for a minute, I don't know if y'all have seen the movie Interstellar, a Chris Nolan film starring Matthew McConaughey, and I think Anne Hathaway is in that movie. But anyway, I know this to be true, or at least I feel like I've read this somewhere, that like when we're seeing stars in the sky, like that may be your first time seeing it, but like it took that star, like 1 million years to travel to the point to where you can see it. Well, in that movie, like they were gone at one point, I think for an hour, if that long, or a couple hours, if that long. And 23 years had passed by the time they got back to the ship where they were stationed in outer space. So I'm just wondering like how that would work. Because when you think about it, like, let's say like, and I guess maybe they're not going out that far as I'm talking through this, but I think about astronauts and people who go into space and they're out there doing whatever they're doing, and they're out there for like, months or years or whatever, and then they come back. Like, how much time has passed for them? Like, I'm like really wanting to do a deep dive on this. Like, what's artificial and what's reality? Because there's a book, I'm telling you, it was a mind fuck. Okay, it was really crazy, and for him to come up with something like that, because okay, at the point Barry starts, the police officer, he realizes what has happened, because he goes and he talks to the woman who jumped off the building. He talks to her husband, and there's an admission there of something that happened. And so he starts investigating, and it leads him to this place where he runs into the future Helena, right? And she starts giving him the scoop on what happened, from day one of when they went out there to start building that chair and how things spiraled, and what she was here to do. Okay. So the thing that was really just wild about this book, and for as interesting as it was also getting on my nerves. There was going to be a cataclysmic world event, and the memory chair could stop it, right? But it was all about getting to the right point in time and stopping certain things from happening. Again, we're going to talk about movies, much like in Avengers Endgame, where they were, and if you haven't seen Avengers Endgame, you may want to pass this. I'm not going to give away the ending, but Endgame was the second movie. The first movie was Infinity War, and I don't know. Even if you didn't watch the movie, you have to have known and heard about the snap, where Thanos did the snap and half the population was gone. So in Endgame, they thought they had come up with an idea how to bring people back, but it was all about going back at certain points and doing so. That's kind of what was going on towards the end of this movie. And unlike in Endgame, when they, got it right the first time, they had to keep going back and going back and going back and going back, for things to happen the way that it should have happened. And that, after a while, I was like, oh my God, just let the world blow up already. Maybe that's what we need anyway, especially nowadays, like in current times. We probably just need a thing to start over, but with the same knowledge, maybe perhaps potentially, so the same mistakes aren't made. Okay, I don't know, but I got a kick out of it, because like I said, every time they went back to those certain points in time, different things happened, and they say you're not supposed to mess with stuff, but they tried to fix things and spend time with people and do again, like in Endgame, when Captain America decided he was going to stay with Peggy, because it's like you're getting a do-over at the same time while trying to save the world. Why not go for it, right? But the thing with every single time travel book that I have read is that these people, they go through all of this with the idea that they want a different outcome, or they can get a different outcome. And they all have the same exact epiphany. I wouldn't change a thing. This is where I was supposed to be the whole time. Yeah, it may have been rough getting here. I had to go through some bad things, because there was a point where Barry tried to do something or undo something in his life. It was a tragedy. But in the end, you still end up where you end up, where you're supposed to be, whether the life was good or bad. Most people are going to end up where they're supposed to be, because that's allegedly how fate and destiny works, right? And another thing, and I think that was the same thing in Dark Matter. It's like the more times that you keep going back, like it starts to fracture your mind. Things start to happen. But they realize when all those people were having those false memories, it was because reality shifts were happening from people that were using that chair. Like, if I'm sitting here and in this reality, I have a dog, but my husband goes back to never getting the dog, right? He sits in the chair and he changes some things where we never got the dog. I still remember the dog because the dog was real. It was a real thing. So it was a lot of mind, stuff like that going on in the book. But again, like I said, it was still a very good read. A lot of scientific and technical jargon. So depending on, how you feel about that. But I feel like if you really liked dark matter, that you could get into this book, that you would like it and you would see some of the same themes. So yeah, Recursion by Blake Crouch. I wonder if they're going to make this into a TV show or a movie like they did Dark Matter, because there's a Apple TV show and they did such an amazing job at adapting that for television. I was really wondering how they were going to do that with all of his world building is crazy, and the descriptions of these things and what pops into your mind. So yeah, I wonder if it would play out better on screen than like some parts of it did in the book. If you have read Recursion by Blake Crouch, I would love to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments, especially what you thought about that Groundhog Day situation at the end of the book. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you like this video and go ahead and take the opportunity to subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. Also, please, please, please share my channel with people who you think may enjoy my content, or maybe who may be looking for book recommendations. Thanks again. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you next week. Bye.